Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, you guys. I got this from Scientologylies.com, and I'm going to go ahead and read it. This was dated, I'm not sure what the date is, but it's a while back. Allegations of child neglect by Scientology. Excerpted from Scientologylies.com and xenunet.org. Low Priority for Child Welfare by Adeline Dodbova. I left Scientology 2 years ago. I had been a teacher and a word clearer in Scientology schools, including Delphi, for 3 years. I loved the children and was very dedicated to my profession. It was personal observation that provided me the first clue that Scientology placed a low priority on the welfare of children. A co-worker and I began to notice certain neglect and occasionally even abuse among the children we taught. We observed that many Scientology parents climbing the bridge to their own total freedom assumed almost no responsibility for their children. Children often came to school with little or no food. Children aged 3 and 4 had to pack their own lunches. Isn't that great, you guys? When they could find any food at home to pack. You can imagine what their lunches consisted of. Busy parents who were working and doing courses rarely had time to shop. Some children arrived at 7:30 a.m. and at times did not leave until 6:30 p.m. They often had been shuffled from house to house. That's not a recipe for disaster. After school and had little sleep. This seemed to us to be a direct contradiction to the regimen the parents rigorously observed for their own Scientology auditing, counseling, and training to be well rested and fed prior to session or course time. More proof that children are getting audited or auditing. Having observed these contradictions, I began to regain my ability to think critically again and mentally began to leave Scientology. I continued teaching. At this time, I taught at Basic Education Center, a special school with the best of both worlds, a mixture of Scientologists and real people. I believed I could teach there and be safe with my newly reacquired ability to think for myself. After all, this was a non-religious private school, an equal opportunity employer. I could have a private life with the freedom to think what I wanted. But after being at Basic Education Center only a few months, my grand illusions were shattered. Although the school was not publicly connected to Scientology, it used Hubbard's methods. Now, I'm sure that's on purpose. LAPD is all about that. The children there also suffered from blatant parental neglect. I saw situations which got reported to the school's principal, but in truth, the Department of Social Services should really have been called. One 8-year-old appeared to have been sexually abused. Another child suffered without handling for dyslexia. One child wore the same clothes for 2 weeks. No one took notice of his lack of personal hygiene. His parents had separated, and the child had to fend for himself. All of the children I mentioned were in the same class of only 15 students. Another child exhibited extremely disruptive and destructive behavior, including violent physical tantrums and swearing. He often disturbed the whole school. The remedy for this child was to have him sweep up around the school. Couldn't be that he was parenting himself. These were the children of dedicated Scientologists. Students' files revealed previous teacher statements. Listen to this. Of incidents of physical and sexual abuse. More cover-up. All of these cases were reported to the principal. The reports were handled by Scientology alone. Teachers dared not report these crimes on their own outside the school for fear of losing their jobs. Can you believe that? I sure enough would have lost my job. As if that's the only job on earth, right? But even by keeping quiet, my position was not made safe. The cult's practice of suppress a person declares, still alive and active after all these years, brought the situation to a head. I was declared at the end of February 1991. I joined the ranks of those honored individuals, and I am proud. I wonder if people are aware how little one needs to do in order to have the title of SP bestowed. In actuality, one need only know the right people. The news of my new status, persona non grata, spread rapidly. My life changed quickly. At first I was told my declare had no bearing on my teaching position, and that I was a well-respected and cherished employee. What I did on my own time, associate with the Cult Awareness Network, was my personal business. As a matter of fact, my employer, the principal, preferred not to know anything about it. He's a Scientologist. But then the Sea Org, a special Scientology branch, officials came to the school carrying documents. Oh, the Sea Org came. Sea Org executives. Huh. Perhaps they applied a bit of intimidating pressure. I was asked to resign quietly, and I was promised everything, references beyond my dreams, a position in another school, and money, if I did. By this time, my continuing to teach, in spite of the SP declare, had become a matter of principle to me. I declined their offers to cover up the situation and was promptly and illegally fired. The principal read me a set of puny excuses for my dismissal, something about being in an adversarial position toward the school. I was told to speak to no one and to leave immediately while the classes were away on a field trip. My employer's husband, a policeman. Let's listen to that again. My employer's husband, a policeman, escorted me off the premises. I was given neither compensation nor recommendations. That's a lawsuit. My civil rights had been violated, and I was mad as hell. I engaged help, and I complained to the California Department of Fair Housing and Employment. They found my case did warrant a charge of religious discrimination against the school. Fearing the scandal might become public record, the school agreed to a monetary settlement in exchange for my not pursuing a civil suit. They all do the same thing. Simultaneously, the school was subjected investigation for illegally operating daycare facilities. The Basic Education Center was closed July 3rd, 1991. There is some justice, but the predicament of all those neglected children is not resolved. Their plight continues to haunt me. Will there be justice for them? 1991! 1991! This article first appeared in the Informer issue dated 5 September 1991, a publication of former Scientologists, and it was posted May 8th, 1999. I will leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night, wherever you are.